All right, welcome to Floor is Yours, an extension of 5 on the Floor on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick at 5 Reasons Sports. I'm flanked by my two co-hosts on 5 on the Floor. We got Alex Salido. You can follow him at Tropical Blanket. Greg Sylvander. I feel like I just saw you. You can follow him at Greg Sylvander. But below us, we've got the Bahama Rican boys. New episode dropped. That's what I'm supposed to say. This morning, we got Timothy Bain. And you can follow him. Too many A's in there. I'm not even going to get to it. So, that's fine. And we got Brian Fonseca, and you can follow him with that little New York in the handle. Try to ignore that. But you can catch their latest episode was on the YouTube channel today. Plenty of other YouTube stuff today, by the way. David Dwork's new show, Odd Man Rush. You had John Buccigross on today, so big-time guest to debut his Panthers show. Full Court Press at 6:30. With the guys Gad and Marco and also Ariel. Actually, Gad's going to be showing up to our watch party tomorrow night. Quarterdeck in Davie. That's where we're going to be tomorrow night. Quarterdeck in Davie. That's the one near the old Dolphins camp. Yes, still in Broward because we haven't found a dated location. We are sponsored here, as always, by our friends over at Everything Trade Shows. Go to everythingtradeshows.com, everythingtradeshows.com. If you're going back to trade shows, your business is going back to trade shows. We know many around the country are. You want to get your business out in front of people, right? COVID still kind of going, but everybody's back outside again. Maybe they're wearing masks, maybe they're not. But it's here at the Convention Center. It's down at the Convention Center in Miami Beach. Everything Trade Shows is based right here in Fort Lauderdale, but they service all 50 states. Reach out to Chris Chase. You can see the great booths that they build. They're all there. They work with companies like Microsoft and Citrix. They certainly can help your company out as well. And if you mention 5 Reasons, when you go to everythingtradeshows.com and you reach out to the great people there, again, based right here in Las Olas, you mention 5 Reasons, they'll do a free booth build for you. They'll show you exactly how it's going to look, a free rendering, and they do everything from the start to the finish. Our producer, Manny Chang, going through it right there. Again, some of the companies that they work with. So reach out to everythingtradeshows.com, everythingtradeshows.com. Great sponsor of the network. You can see their stuff on our website and on our Instagram channel as well. And that's our friend Chris, who actually may show up at the watch party tomorrow night. Get a chance to meet some of the sponsors. All right. Make sure you check out our last episode of 5 on the Floor. Alex and I and Greg and Brady, we all went through kind of the late game difficulties and what's happening there. So we got a lot of downloads on that episode. We probably will touch on that a little bit today. But we'll get into some music. I know Greg wants to do that later, and these guys, so we'll do that some before the end of the show. But as the team comes home now, or not home yet, but as they get into the softer part of the schedule, they get Detroit tomorrow night, they get Minnesota after that, and then that game against Chicago. We want to address what concerns are real to start the season and what we're making too much of. Okay, so I'm going to go around and I'm going to let Alex start here. Your biggest concern to start the season that you believe is real?
That's actually a tough one, but I guess my biggest concern is how they play against switching defenses, right? And I don't think that's something that I'm already like out on them being good at or anything like that. I just think that's kind of where I've seen them struggle the most, right? Where like I feel like Bam is still a work in progress when it comes to being a mismatch type of guy. Even though he's gotten those attempts up as far as a post-up guy, as far as being a little bit more aggressive this season. It could still be a little bit better, right? And then I think when it comes to Jimmy, like we talked about on 5 on the Floor, if he's not getting that mismatch, the offense can bog down a little bit, and I think that's kind of an issue against those switching defenses. It's more like the Heat turn into a team that's more deliberate and finding ways to take advantage of what they're giving you, and I don't know if that's something that they've figured out all the way yet, but it's obviously early on. These guys are still pretty new with playing with each other. And even though they've figured some things out pretty quickly, that's the one thing I'd really like to see. Because we know Duncan is somebody who gets neutralized a little bit by switching defenses, and teams are always looking out for him. So that's still, to me, what I want to see them get better at.
All right. Now, by the way, if you got a comment, we'll try to post it. If you give us a super chat, we will definitely post it. I know Manny's behind the scenes there. So we'll make sure that we get some of these up at some point. I'm going to be taught how to do that. Timmy, give me the one concern you think is overblown. Something that Heat fans are worried about that they shouldn't be.
As much as I raggy him, I think Duncan is going to be okay. I think eventually it'll balance out. I think you agreed. Like we blame so much of the losses on him, like that game against the Lakers when he botched a layup and turned to a 3. But I think eventually it will balance out like Glacio. Duncan turned into a different human being after the trade deadline. So I think eventually he is the elite shooter. He is in his head. I think eventually, as the team still figure, it's only what like 15 games, 16 games, still figure it themselves. So yeah, he's used to dribble handoffs. So he's getting his shots a bit differently now. But I think eventually, as the team gets better, and we know Tyler is in his role, Jimmy knows his role, Larry is still trying to work in his way into when he should pass, when he should to the tree that no one sees coming. But I think Duncan will balance out eventually.
Brian, Kyle, I feel is an interesting conversation to start the season because I think in a lot of ways he has met or exceeded expectations in terms of leadership, getting better shots for other people, forcing Bam to be aggressive. But he isn't scoring consistently. He isn't shooting the ball particularly well. And one of the things we talked about on 5 on the Floor last night is that, you want them to be settled at the end of games. I kind of thought he was going to be the one to do that more consistently. And he's been out there, in those situations with the exception of the Indiana game, obviously, which, the ball get into Jimmy's hands. Having, watched Kyle for years, do you think there's more here or is this pretty much what we're going to see?
So the 41% shooting from the floor doesn't necessarily surprise me, but I did not expect only 10.5 attempts per game. I thought we would see that probably in that 13, 14 range. So the lack of aggression offensively is probably a little bit surprising, though I think that that's something that's going to level out. His shooting has actually gotten a little bit better from where it was in the very beginning of the year, where you saw a lot of 7-point games and there were like a 2 for 9 here, but he was still dishing and getting guys involved, and he's really getting a lot of Bam, which is a bonus, right? Like that's what you want to see. You want to see him get more out of Bam, get more out of Tyler Hero. But where I sort of struggle with it so far is that like there are moments, like more moments where he can sort of take over games offensively that I feel like he hasn't quite done yet, that he's tapped into a handful of times. But I think we're going to see that more throughout the course of the year. Like in a lot of ways, this is still not even a 20-game sample size, right? So I'm not freaking out about everything we're seeing necessarily because this is still not even a quarter of the way through. Around Christmas time, if things haven't sort of adjusted, then you have to start thinking about, because then that's around in January, especially, that's when teams start shuffling their two-way players and start moving roster pieces around. And then we start hearing more about trades and things of that nature. Not that Kyle's going to be involved in anything like that, but you don't want it to become a scenario where, even though he's not playing that well, because he's playing well for the most part, right? But even though he's not playing that well, you don't want him to go down potentially. And then it's like, oh man, like they really need a backup point guard now. And that's where the Gabe Vincent conversation gets interesting. So,
all right, so let's do the bench conversation. Greg, let's do the Gabe Vincent, Max Strus.
That was going to be my concern.
Well, go ahead. Go with the concern. Go with it.
No, I think it's a valid concern to say that if you continue to have extenuating circumstances present themselves and you got guys out, whether it's Jimmy for multiple games, Tyler multiple games, Kyle, Bam, you do, I think, legitimately have to ask, do you, like we talk about, we have enough? And, I lead the charge with that stuff. But do you have enough to make it through the regular season? I just think that that's something that we have to continue. It was something we identified in the summer, and nothing has changed. So to me, the stuff that's happened in the 17 games that have been played, 17 games that have been played, less am I taking from that, in that I already knew what was going to be the issue, and that's, do they have the depth?
So let's go around the horn here. Real quick answers. Is Max Strus a playoff rotation player, Timmy?
No.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. Brian?
I mean, I'm probably a little biased because I'm in Big East country and I saw what he could do at DePaul. But I would say at the very end of the rotation, yes, I think he can be. Absolutely.
Alex, is Gabe Vincent a playoff rotation player?
Oh man, I thought I was about to go with Struce to say I'm also biased because he follows me on Instagram. But
well, he does. I will say this. I will say this about Max, and I appreciate this. Max is the first person to check my story every day. I don't know why that is, but it's just every day. It's right. Is he on that thing all the time? Because I mean, literally, it's like I post a picture of me and my daughter. There's Max every single day.
He's a closer. He's a closer.
He's a closer. But I threw you Gabe, though. We've had them both on the podcast. So I threw you Gabe. Is Gabe?
Not yet, but he's making strides. Like I don't think he's going to be a playoff rotation player. I think Strus, like Brian said, is going to be back end. I don't think Gabe is going to be there, but I think he's more worth it than he was last season as far as getting those plug and play minutes.
Caleb Martin. Go ahead, Greg.
I was just going to just butt in here. I think that Truce is one of those guys that can have a James Jones playoff game, have an Eddie House playoff game where like he gives you a game, but he isn't necessarily a guy that's playing every day. Gabe, he ain't getting in the game during the playoffs.
All right, I don't think we're saying that Caleb Martin is a playoff rotation player, so I'll bring it back up a little bit. Is Caleb Martin getting significant minutes in the second half of this season? Forget the playoffs, but Greg, do you foresee that past February? Is he still getting minutes on this team?
Absolutely, because they will be converting him to a standard contract so that they can use him for as many games and as many minutes as possible because the depth thing is still a thing. So, yes.
All right. That's kind of a report. That's sort of a report.
Aggregate them.
You've kind of reported that before. We got to get something else aggregated on this show. All right, so let's get to it. Your highest expectation for Victor Oladipo this season, Brian? Like what is like the highest end, the best that can possibly be in your view?
Oh man, this is tough to say, but like if we're envisioning a January-ish return, which I guess was best case scenario all along, I think you could see him top out at like in the low 20s in terms of minutes per game, and I think that'll give him enough time to get to like double-digit points, barely, but I think it'll give him time to get there. Maybe a 10 or 11 points per game, maybe like a couple 3 assists, maybe even 4 because he might be in that backup point guard slot if they don't do anything by that time. So something along those lines. And ideally, you'd want him shooting decent percentages.
Alex, this is kind of a weird question when we're talking about a team that doesn't have enough depth, but are there even 22 minutes a game for Victor Oladipo in this rotation? Like, I mean, without injury or rest, right? Like, where do the minutes come from? You're not taking any away from Tyler. Right, no. Gabe's not getting 22 right now. So where do the other minutes come from?
I think that's a point where
Truce?
No, well maybe, but the thing with Depot is to me is more like Truce is a 3, and maybe this is not a real distinction for them because we know how positionless they've been, and I don't know how they look at it, but the way that I'm thinking about it is like Depot's going to be that guard off the bench playing alongside Tyler so that they don't constantly have to stagger, and obviously they still will be, but Depot being there at a with decent relative health, I think gives them the option to not have to do it the whole game. Whereas, you could have, and that gives you even more lineup versatility. And I'm with Brian here because I think that this last year when he was, even though I think he could come back and eventually be at a higher level and healthier than he was last season because he won't be playing on a broken quad. I think he had more opportunity last year because there was, people were in and out. You didn't have Lowry yet. You didn't have Bam and Tyler kind of taking these steps that they've taken. And obviously he's going to be working his way back slowly. But I think the best case scenario for him is like, I don't know, he's a 15 points per game player, gives you a couple assists, obviously gives you good defense, and he's hitting his jumpers when he gets to catch and shoot threes, which I think he's always been pretty good at. The minutes thing, I'm not sure. I think it's Vincent. I think whatever minutes Martin has gotten. And then from there, you take, a couple from Lowry, a couple from Jimmy, a couple from Max, maybe. It's probably going to have to be something like that.
All right, one more here, and then we're going to take some questions. So throw the questions up here on the screen, and we'll start to go through the comments and questions. Then I want to get to some league stuff. I know we want to talk a little LeBron and then maybe a little bit of music here at the end. But PJ Tucker, and I know there was an appreciation that you guys did on your show about him. I didn't think the players could reinvent themselves at 36, but it seems like to a certain degree he has, okay? If PJ Tucker goes out for an extended period of time this year, how do they survive it, Greg?
They don't. They just don't. He's like one of those guys, especially like as I look at the month of November, dude is shooting 56% from 3, 64% from the field. He's just been so like, I guess the way he's been playing lately, he feels irreplaceable. But I guess if he were to go on a shooting slump, then maybe I would feel differently, and you could replace some of the defensive stuff. But right now, what he's enabling them to do, I don't know that there's another guy on the roster that has that body type, that has that skill set, that can defend as many positions, that can defend up the way that PJ Tucker can. I don't know that they have a guy that can do that. And then also just do it with the enthusiasm and aggression that he has. Yeah, Correct. Yes. So I think he's one of the few guys on the roster that they don't have a replication piece of.
Timmy, I don't want to get you in bad standing with our host of Clutch Corner, Adam Barai, but Adam mocked me relentlessly last year for saying that PJ Tucker was worth a first-round pick. Obviously, a late first-round pick. Obviously,
I listened to all those pods, and I agree with you.
I know you did, so I'm going to go to this on this, and maybe Adam will show up here tonight. But I just got to throw this at you. It's better that they didn't give it up, obviously. Okay,
Right.
But let me just ask you this: for this particular Heat team, if Greg is saying that PJ Tucker is irreplaceable, isn't an irreplaceable player worth a late first-round pick with the way that the Heat value picks?
Amen. I agree with you 100%.
Thank you. That's it. We're done.
I honestly,
That's the clip.
Between if he was worth it until the Bucks series, until like me and Brian said this morning, he's missed four floaters. Like I've never seen him take a floater in my life. He has never missed it ever. And physically, every Heat game I've watched, he hit a floater. He's not missed. It's like he has not missed those. We need like we have the hook. We need a name for the PJ for the tuck field or something like that.
He's looking like Alonzo with that little hook shot.
No, Jax. Actually, I was listening to Jax on the way back the other night when I couldn't get back in time for the game. I was coming back for the Panther game, and Jax told PJ at shoot around that he calls it the flipper. And he actually told PJ that. And Jax was a little embarrassed about actually saying this to him, but he said PJ laughed about it and said that's a pretty good name. So I guess
hashtag the flipper.
I guess that's what we're going with is the flipper. Yeah. But you're right. I haven't really seen him do that before at all. I will say you kind of knew what we were getting when Brady and I went to the first scrimmage, the open scrimmage that they had. And literally, you couldn't hear anybody else. It was just all you heard the whole time. You couldn't hear Jimmy. You couldn't hear any. You just heard PJ Tucker cursing at everyone the entire time, cursing at the officials, cursing at his teammates, cursing at opponents.
Culture.
I think what UD said the other day is true. Like he doesn't care about shots. He just cares about busting plays on defense. Like that's basically it. And whining to the officials, which I mean, he and Lowry and do a lot of it. And Jimmy does not do a lot of, by the way, which I was a little surprised to see Jimmy go at it the other day. Let's get to this from the shoots. PJ is everything they wanted from Crowder and more on D. No way you replace that. That's an interesting way. Is PJ Tucker more valuable than Jay Crowder was, Alex?
On defense, I think absolutely. And I'm not here to talk down Jay. I think, I would take back some of the stuff that I said last season with Ariza.
Talk lists and
Trevor Ariza did a good job while he was here, and I think it ended on a bad note because he was forced to guard Giannis the whole playoff matchup. They got swept.
That was a nice way of saying it, Alex.
Yeah, look, man, Ariza.
He's gonna save the Lakers, though. He's gonna save the Lakers, Alex.
Trevor Ariza came off the couch and they made him guard Giannis. So look,
that's how bad Mo Harkless was. That's exactly right.
PJ is just so much stronger than these dudes, man. The way he boxes out.
Oh man, he's a tank. He's a tank. Like I saw my person at the Hornets game. That dude is like, he's a tank.
Yeah, it's a big difference. And look, what Crowder obviously does better is the shooting part, specifically above the wing. I mean, above the break and on the wings. That's not something PJ has done a lot. He's made some of those when he's taken them this season. And obviously, you would rather have a guy shooting wise who can shoot from other places as well too. But PJ's giving you the offensive value not only on the corners, but as a roll man with these floaters. Like he's playing simple basketball. It's like, okay, they're gonna leave me wide open, run a pick and roll. If they're gonna crowd whoever is handling there, I'm gonna get an easy floater because they're waiting on that little dump down pass to Dedmon or Bam, and they're not even playing that floater. So it's like, it's right there. He has the right touch for it. And he doesn't need to give you these wing threes if he's giving you offensive rebounds, corner threes, floaters, elite defense. And more importantly, what he does on defense, they need a guy like PJ more than they need a guy like Crowder. They need that type of size.
All right, more comments coming in here. Want to remind people we got a watch party Tuesday night. Get there by 7 o'clock if you can. It's at the Quarterdeck in Davie. They got a patio outside with a bunch of televisions. We're going to have a good time out there. I got some new hats that I brought in. I got a few T-shirts. We're going to give some of those away. We'll have some drink specials. So it'll be a good time. Now, this is the one on University Drive in Davie. We were at the one in Sunrise last time. We're slowly moving a little bit east to my hood, hopefully, for the next one in Fort Lauderdale. But Sorry, we'll get to you eventually, but we got to find a place. Man.
It's not even that. It's just what you said. It's
my hood.
My hood.
My hood. It's my hood. I live with the one on 17th. Well, wait till
Yeah,
you get the music.
Las Olas, the hood.
No, it's south of Las Olas. It's not on Las Olas. It's not with the people.
It's not Carroll. It's not Carroll City. You know, it's not.
No, but I'll say this: the reason I don't like the 17th Street one is literally that is Trump country. It's like the one place in Fort Lauderdale I try to avoid. We'll go to Hialeah, sure. Okay, no problem.
Man, I'm hosting that one.
Just find us a spot. I don't care. We can do it on the street corner. It's fine. We'll do it wherever. All right, let's get to it. Okay. La Carreta would be perfect. You know what? Reach out to them. You'd have a better shot of that than me because my Spanish is. All right, but let's get to it. I want to get to some national conversation here. Some of this was covered on Full Court Press. I encourage you guys to check out what Gad and Marco and Ariel talked about with this. The LeBron suspension comes down today. It's 1 game. 2 games for Mr. Stewart. We also saw Jokic got 1 game. Markieff Morris is going to miss 10 games with the injury at the very least because he's not making this trip, and his first game back would be Denver, and I don't know if they want to put him back in that one. Does the NBA have a discipline problem, Brian, in terms of the way that they assess these penalties?
Yes. They definitely have an inconsistency problem, and I'm the guy. I like physicality. I think you need fights every now and then. I watch boxing and MMA, and I think some basketball players flop too much in general when it comes to some of this stuff. But that's another discussion for another day. LeBron had evil intentions with that elbow. Isaiah Stewart is not a small guy, and he got popped in the face and bled a lot. And he really wanted to go after him, and then DeAndre Jordan stood in front. That's a fight I would like to see, by the way, Isaiah Stewart and DeAndre Jordan, because they're in the same weight class and roughly the same height and all that stuff. I think that would actually be entertaining. But I think the NBA does have a discipline problem in terms of the consistency of it. I don't think that, as we can see here, the elbow.
But look at LeBron's facial expression. Like you see where he was annoyed.
Correct.
He's like, get off.
Yeah,
correct. I don't think he meant to punch him. He just meant to get him off of him, and it happened to be his face.
Right.
I think. But here's the thing, right? Like, if you're gonna suspend Jokic only 1 game, and LeBron only 1 game, I have a hard time seeing why Isaiah Stewart gets 2, other than the fact that he's Isaiah Stewart. I understand that you would say, like, look, he escalated it because he ran after LeBron James, or whatever the case may be. I was also very entertained by the fact that somebody was running after LeBron James that way. 20-year-olds out here, they're not respecting you anymore. You know what I mean? Like, he just came out here and he's just running after him like that. I think that more than anything, though, is the consistency of the punishments. Like, I'm trying to figure out like what the logic is and where the lines are, and I'm not quite figuring that out when you have the Jokic Morris situation and now the fallout from this and whatever else is going to come after this throughout the rest of the season.
Did you hear that Corey Joseph? He went to the ref and said, "I'm going to go to the opposite side because I think Isaiah is going to run through the locker room to the other side to get to LeBron." And the ref actually told him, "I think that's a good idea that you go and do that." He's trying to avoid, because Isaiah Stewart, like he was coming after him. And
beef stew, if someone is a big man, a half Jamaican is called beef stew, I'm very afraid of him.
Listen, and also Detroit does not want any melees on that court. That's like bad for them.
Whoa! Did you hear the announcers on the in the Detroit arena, like trying to tell people don't
do not come on the court.
And wasn't Ben Wallace there? Ben Wallace was there, and somebody else from the Malice in the Palace team.
Yeah.
He was in the. Well, the crazy thing about Malice in the Palace is that actually ended the Pacers' run. Not Detroit's run, right? It ended the Pacers' run, because of the penalties to Artest and to Jermaine O'Neal and to others. I mean, that really changed the course
Steven
of their.
Jackson.
Steven Jackson. That team probably
did you get a chance to watch the
Netflix
doc?
It's terrific. Yeah, no, it's really well done.
I never felt sorry for Reggie Miller until that.
Yes, and it's the and you know what, Tim? The next time he broadcasts a game, you'll stop feeling sorry for him. So that's kind of that works. But you're right. I mean, that team was that was a terrific team that was put together. The Heat saw that team obviously in the playoffs in 2004, and it never got to proceed anywhere. All right. So some other league issues right now. Is in your view, Alex, is the MVP race almost over already for Curry?
No. He's the front runner right now. I think we got to see how the rest of this Warriors season goes. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he wins it, right? I think at this point he's going to be the favorite just because of how hot they started. And I remember we talked about this coming into the season, And we talked about Steph and Jokic and being like, it depends on also how hot they start.
Mhm.
And obviously Steph has won that battle with what are they, 13-2,
Yeah.
14-2.
But the Suns have just run the 12 straight.
Yeah.
But
And
that's
I
why
haven't heard anything about any of the Suns players being in the conversation.
No, see, I don't think
Jokic is there. I think KD's there. I think Jimmy is not far behind, but right now Steph is a front runner.
Well, Jokic's problem is his team is just not very good this
Not
year.
good.
I mean, and if Porter doesn't,
Did you see
come
the
back,
report? He has a nerve issue.
a nerve issue, and
I think
you
he
don't
could
know-
win it because of that.
Well, he would have to carry them to a top 3 seed. All right, so let's put it into this context. What would have to happen for Jimmy to win it? They'd have to win the East, right? I mean, I don't.
Yep.
Right? No circumstance other than that Jimmy would have a shot.
Top 2?
Yeah, if they
Top
got to
two.
a 2 seed and he kept his stats as they are now and he played like a significant amount of games,
77 games, maybe 76.
then he's in the conversation.
But is he? But okay. But let's put it this way: if Curry is top 2, if that Golden State team, which I mean was, look, the Heat were projected to be better than Golden State this year. Okay, I mean by most, and Clay's not even back yet.
But
So
he's about to
that
be.
And he's about to.
My
But
good
if that
Bohemian
Gold-
brother's almost there. He's almost
well,
there.
I was going to
2
say
weeks.
if that Golden State team ends up in the top 2. You think? I don't think Jimmy would have any shot against Curry in a popularity contest with
I
the
agree.
media.
Well,
Right?
Yeah, I was gonna say like the MVP is a narrative-based award,
Right.
And Jimmy Butler is not somebody who curries favor in that way with the national media.
Mhm.
You know, Steph Curry is somebody that they're gonna get behind regardless. And I think that, I think more to
Yeah.
Greg's point, he would have to do this, and they would have to be top 2 in the East. But you would also need Steph Curry to miss like a month. And you would
Or
probably
Clay
need
has
Kevin
to be
Durant.
so good that Curry's like comes back
Right.
down to earth.
Right.
You would probably
Right.
need Kevin Durant to miss a month because I feel like people want to give
Yeah.
Kevin Durant the MVP
Yeah.
award also. I don't think anyone wants to give Jimmy Butler the MVP the same way they want to give it to the
Well, Brian,
point.
to that point, and this transitions to our next topic here. I think Jimmy's going to have a problem starting the All-Star game because
I saw you tweet that.
if you look at it, the past couple of years, I know people are saying, well, the players and the coaches also vote now too. It's not just the fans. We know Jimmy's not the most popular with the fans. I don't understand why people don't embrace Jimmy's story. I mean, going from homeless,
He didn't even play AAU basketball.
I know he went to a
That's
JUCO. He was drafted 30th overall. I mean, he's a if he's ever a self-made guy in the NBA, that's
He didn't
it,
have the
right?
cute moves.
He's
He didn't
from
have the
top-
cute sidestep like Tatum.
I've never heard of Tomball, Texas until Jimmy Butler came
Well,
along.
exactly. But here's the thing about it, though. If you look at it, the players had Jimmy sixth last year in East front court. Sixth. The players aren't going to vote for him.
The fans had him
Wasn't
fifth. I
wasn't
just looked it
Bam
up.
fifth.
wasn't Bam also like 4th or 5th or something
Bam
like
was
that?
higher than Jimmy with the players. He was higher than Jimmy with the players. The players
Yeah.
like Bam better than they like Jimmy.
Yeah, Bam
I-
was 4th, Jimmy was 6th. You're right.
Yeah, and so if you look at the front court situation, to me, the fans, if Jimmy's listed in front court, which he will be because the Heat list Duncan as a guard, if he's listed in the front court, Giannis is going to outvote him. Durant's probably going to be the leading vote getter. It'll be Durant or Giannis leading vote getter in the East. And I think Embiid outvotes him too with the fans. And the players don't like Embiid. But I feel like the coaches might vote Jimmy, actually, strangely enough. But I think he's going to have trouble with the players and the fans. I don't think that Jimmy's a lot to start I think Jimmy and Bam are going to come off the bench in the All-Star game.
So I think, and to jump in real quick, because Young OG's comment where he said no flashy moves, LOL, that's something that I've sort of said where people compare, for example, Jimmy Butler and Kyrie Irving, Jimmy Butler and Paul George, Jimmy Butler and like
Tatum.
a lot of it Tatum, and a lot of it comes down to people pick those guys over him. And I think it's based off of style points. When you look at highlights, you don't remember Jimmy Butler's points and the way he does it. His signature moments are just grinding out 2 NBA Finals games with 2 of the better performances that we've seen recently. But overall, stylistically, it's like really good defense, some mid-range creation, but you don't remember him dropping people or doing crazy spin moves or anything like dunking on people in that way. Yeah. So I think that's what cuts into it, but he's just as effective, if not more effective. I would probably say more effective than a lot of those dudes that we're talking about. And he's one of the best, 10, 12 players in the league as a result. And it doesn't make a lot of sense, but people just prefer the style points. And it goes to a lot of people don't watch NBA games anymore. They watch highlights And you don't see Jimmy Butler on a lot of these highlights. You see a lot of these other guys dunking on
Parading
each
to the
other
free throw
on
line.
highlights and things.
Parade.
Like that.
Well, and you know what's going to infuriate people because Jimmy's not listed in the backcourt is that James Harden's going to start the All-Star game and Jimmy Butler's not. Because if you look at the backcourt in the East, to me it's Trey, Harden, and Beal that are going to get the fan votes in some capacity. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see like a LaMelo Ball like shoot to the top of that. Like there's going to be competition, which actually raises this question. And then and before we close here, does Tyler Hero have a shot? Because I was looking at some of the numbers. Like, what would Tyler have to do to get – because this came in one of the comments, and I was thinking about this. You're going to get a Celtic, right? Maybe 2 because Tatum will get it on – I don't know. He doesn't deserve it.
Braun has missed like 2 weeks already, but I guess it doesn't matter.
Right, but they'll get 1, though, right? Charlotte probably gets 1, probably be LaMelo over Bridges, right? And then Philly going to get 2.
The Bulls might get 2.
The Bulls are getting 2 for sure. They won't be starters, but Levine and DeRozan will make the All-Star team for sure.
The Knicks won't get any. The Cavs won't get any. So maybe he gets, but that means he'll get 3. You'll have to be the number 1 seed to get 3.
I would think if they're the number 1 seed. Well, Atlanta got 4 a few years ago, right?
Yeah, so he'll have to be.
the one
He'll have
seed,
to
they
be
should
like
get
1 or 2.
I agree with you.
One of the four was Jeff Teague also. Like the
Kyle
East
Korver.
was
Kyle Korver.
But Brian, you know what the
make the All-Star
craziest thing
team.
about that was? The best player on the team that second year of that season, because I covered that team a lot, the best player on that team was DeMarre Carroll, and he was the one of the 5 that didn't make the All-Star team that year. And then he got hurt in that sweep against LeBron. Yeah.
And then Toronto offloaded him for Justin Hamilton, and they got rid of their whole 2018 draft for that. I remember
A Justin
covering the Nets
Hamilton
that year.
reference. I didn't think we were going to get one of those today.
Wow.
The great Ham. But I don't know if he's got. I don't know what his. I don't know if Tyler would have a shot at it necessarily. He'd have to
He
be
was
averaging
14th in fan voting last year.
Tyler
LaMelo
was?
Ball had 100,000 more votes, but he only got 3 votes from players.
Yep. Oh, this is. Oh, I'm sure that this is a great comment from Poetic Lisa. So I said this too. Kyrie's gonna get votes. There's no question. Kyrie will get votes.
He got 2.7 million last year.
I know he'll get votes. Jeremy Lin's gonna get votes. Okay, that all those. Good. And by the way, Tim, I don't know that you're necessarily right about the Knicks. Randall's gonna get votes for sure. It's the New York market. He'll get, even though he's not having that kind of a season. I wouldn't be surprised if Derrick Rose gets a lot of votes too.
Well, I'm planning to go to the All-Star game, so I'm hoping we get at least 3 players there.
We're planning. Well, I have a debate on that. I want to go to the All-Star game, and then I remembered that I spent a year in Cleveland.
I've been trying to talk him into it. He's not fighting.
All right, I'm going to let you guys do this because I know you guys want to talk a little music before we go here. Follow the Bahama Rican boys, by the way, every Monday. They're on. I'm still going to get you a logo, I promise. But if you want to listen to Brian and Timmy, Jasmine's working on it, I think. It'll come in someday. All right, why don't you guys start? Give me 1 album of the year for each of you. I have my daughter's playlist, so I can't even comment on this.
For me, it's definitely Isaiah Rashad, House is Burning.
Oh, man.
Alex?
I wasn't prepared for this. Skip.
Oh, Brian.
So I just want to first off say that I'm proud that Ethan has. I've seen him post on social media, riding around in his car, listening to J. Cole's album.
Yes,
so that is what's up. And I'm actually gonna give the off season the album of the year right now.
I can agree.
Until Kendrick drops.
Yeah,
then all bets are off.
Yeah.
I couldn't get through Kanye though. Does that disqualify me in any way?
I don't talk about Kanye.
Me
I
neither.
couldn't get
I'm
through.
with you, Greg.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Greg. I mean, gun to my head answer, or
He's gonna say Nas. He's gonna say Nas.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna say Nas King's Disease too. I'm probably gonna go there for now. I want to think about it more because Sky Zoo had a really good album that came out this year that a lot of people aren't talking about. And a dude named Coda the Fiend had a good collaboration with Static Selector earlier this year. If you're like a real hip hop head, that probably went on your radar also.
It was dope.
I would say Nas King's Disease too for now. That
So
would be
before
my
Alex
answer.
goes, it was a joke when me and Brian was talking to Ethan about coming on the network. I saw Ethan listen to Polo G on his
That's right.
IG story.
That's right.
Brian, this is the place for us. Ethan
That's
listens
right.
to Polo G.
That's right. Balling like Kendrick Nunn, by the way.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes.
Alex, we got to read that super chat comment because they gave us money. So you got to give us an album. Go ahead.
All right, so this one was actually tough for me because a lot of these albums, like I have a few songs. A lot of these albums that came out this year, I have a few songs from each that I like. So there's not one that particularly stands out. But when I look through it, there's one that I've definitely played more than others, and that's "The Life of Pierre 5" by Pierre Bourne. I mean, he's known for his production, but I really like this album. It's very much like, vibe music.
I've never heard it.
Yeah, so I have to go out of my playlist tonight.
I got to go check that out.
You got to ask Spo about that.
You
You got to hold Spo accountable with that. You got to ask Spo if he's ever heard that album.
No,
I think Spo still listens to UT2 Joshua Tree at this point. Actually, that's all he ever used to listen to.
So what's your album of the year, Ethan?
Full OG. No. The album of the year for me, because it's the only thing that plays on my car now. Seriously, I have a 7-year-old. It's Olivia Rodrigo, 24/7.
I understand.
It's 24. I don't know why she's listening to that. She hates every. I mean,
who is that?
It's a teenager
popular.
who was on
very
Teenage Music.
popular.
Yes, she's very, very popular. But there's a bunch of stuff my daughter at 7 should not be listening to. I'll just leave it at that. Throw the comment back up here. Perhaps gibberish. There you go. Throw the comment back up there. We got one more. Oh, I'll just read it 'cause I remember. Does Jimmy Butler, if the Heat beat Golden State, here we go. If Jimmy does well against Golden State, does that change the MVP narrative? Do we think?
Unless Curry shoots like over like 70, I don't think so.
Is it a nationally televised game?
I don't think so. I don't believe so.
I would
the Heat don't have a lot of them, Brian. I mean,
I've noticed. I think that if it were a nationally televised game, maybe that's funny. I think
that's the dorkiest way to reply to that comment.
I would say if it were a nationally televised game, maybe
you ain't missing nothing, Ethan.
He would have to Jimmy Butler would have to destroy he would have to lock up Steph Curry.
Yeah, Curry had to 0 for 50 for it to be like a big thing.
Yeah, he would have to really do a number on him.
All I want to say to close this is, by the way, okay, that it was me who pointed out the other day, and I was sitting next to it. They really should be playing Little Babies on Me in front of children at FTX Arena. Does that make me feel old? Yes, that makes me feel old. It's an ESPN game.
Okay.
Rashad says, well, then you got a possibility.
So
there you go.
If Jimmy locks him up, then I think the narrative might just a bit.
Tyler Hero, MVP.
Alex, you're gonna have to listen to Olivia Rodrigo on the way to the next game, and I'll pay for your parking. We're gonna see if you can
gotta
get
listen
through
to
it.
that Pierre blah 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 guy that he was talking about.
We're gonna see if you can get through it. You're a traitor or whatever. Anyway, there we go.
Wow.
No, you're not a traitor. It's the name of the damn song. All right. Anyway, good for you. I know all the songs by heart. I have a 7-year-old. All right. Thanks to Greg. Thanks to Alex. Thanks to Brian. Thanks to Timmy. Catch Bahama Rican Boys. I'm sorry. Every Monday here on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. It airs at 9 a.m. Come to our watch party tomorrow night. We are going to mock Royal Shepherd relentlessly. Okay, that's the entire object of the watch party. If they lose to Detroit, it's the last watch party. I promise. Okay, they lose to Detroit.
No, Stuart. No, Kelly Olynyk. They better not.
It's the last watch party.
No, God, please, no.